Hey there, I'm going to go over this centimeters and millimeters activity with you. Now, mine may look a little different because yours is probably printed out and in your notebook, whereas I have still kept mine as a digital resource so that I can manipulate it and you are able to kind of follow along with me. So there are 6 parts to this activity. I'm not going to do the entire activity. I'm just going to go over a couple of questions in each section and then let you finish the rest. But I just wanted to make sure that you didn't have any questions or get stuck anywhere. So part 1, we're just reviewing the basics of the metric system. So we want to go from centimeters to millimeters. So you're just going to use your pencil, but I have to actually create a text box here. So whenever I want to go from centimeters to millimeters, I'm just going to move my decimal place 1 place to the right. So 1 centimeter becomes 10 millimeters. And then I'm just going to make a copy of this real quickly. And let's say I want to do this again. I'm going to skip the number 3 because hopefully that one's pretty easy for you. And I'm going to come here to the number 12. So again, I want to take 12 centimeters and I want to convert that into millimeters. So I'm just going to move my decimal place 1 spot to the right. And now 12 centimeters becomes 120 millimeters. Okay, so I've done 2 out of the 5 here. Part 2, you're going to circle the greater length for each pair. So for here, for part A, you have 4 centimeters and you have 45 millimeters. So if I were to take this 4 centimeters and convert it into millimeters, this would be 40 millimeters. So now I'm comparing 40 millimeters with 45 millimeters, and 45 millimeters is the greater length. And then I'm just going to make this transparent. So there we go. So I have circled the greater length for that pair. And then you would go and do that again for part B, part C, and part D here. Part 3, measure to the nearest centimeter and or the nearest millimeter. So I just need another text box real quickly. I'm just going to come up here and make a copy of this. All right. So I want to measure to the nearest centimeter. So I'm going to look here at I've got like the screw and it's lined up with this ruler. And it looks like to the nearest centimeter, that would be this 7 right here. So this would be 7 centimeters. And then they want me to do the same thing, except I'm going to the nearest millimeter. So the millimeters are these little tiny lines in between. So, I have 6 centimeters and 7 centimeters, but then there are 9 dashes in between. And remember, millimeter, I'm going to add on a decimal. So this, instead of being 7 centimeters, this would be 70 millimeters. Now this screw doesn't quite reach all the way to the 7. So the nearest millimeter would probably, looks like it's close to, let's say 68 millimeters is what I would put there. And then you have another example down here. We're using a key, but you're doing the same thing. Nearest centimeter and then nearest millimeter. Okay. Part 4 here, you are going to measure the line segments. So find the length of line segment G to the nearest centimeter, find the length of line segment H to the nearest centimeter, and find the length of line segment I to the nearest millimeter. So you're going to have to do a little bit of conversion there. I think finding the length of line segment G is going to be very easy. So I'm going to let you do that one on your own. And I'm just going to come over here to line segment H because that one looks like it's probably going to be a little bit more difficult. So I'm finding it to the nearest centimeter. Well, line segment H, it looks like it starts here at 7 centimeters and it goes to about 11 and a half, almost 12. So the length would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It would be about 5 centimeters, okay? Because I had to do 12 minus 7, which gives me 5, right? And that's the nearest. It's closer to 12 than it is 11, okay? And then I'll let you do the same thing for G and I. All right, part 5, choose the best estimate to answer each question. So about how tall is a plastic water bottle? So my first question would be, if I were to actually measure a plastic water bottle, would I want to measure in centimeters or would I want to measure in millimeters? I personally would want to measure in centimeters. Remember, millimeters are going to be much, much smaller. That's the little tiny dashes here. So I'm going to measure in centimeters. And then would it be 20 centimeters or 200 centimeters? And the correct answer here, let me grab my circle, would be 20 centimeters. Okay. That is about how tall. Did I actually go grab a plastic water bottle and measure it? No, I made an estimate based on, right, it's between centimeters and millimeters. So you'll do the next two about how tall is a cereal box and a can of soup, right? So would you rather measure those in centimeters or millimeters? And then finally, part 6, you have a word problem. So let's see. You've got, I'll do this last one here about Samantha. So Samantha has a AA battery that is 51 millimeters long. About how many centimeters long is it? So now I'm kind of going backwards. Let me come back up to number 1 here. So they've given me the millimeters and I need to find the centimeters. So instead of moving my decimal place to the right when I go from centimeters to millimeters, I now need to move it to the left one place because I'm going from millimeters to centimeters. So I need to find centimeters. So if I move this decimal place, right, 51, right, that decimal would be after the 1, it'd be 51.0 millimeters long. I need to move that decimal place to the left. So it is about 5 centimeters long. Okay, 5.1 centimeters, but I'm just going to round it and say 5 centimeters. Okay. So there you have it. This is your centimeters and millimeters activity. I have done a couple of examples from each of these 6 parts. But again, if you get stuck on any of these 6 parts, or if you just want me to look over it, I'd be more than happy to do that. Okay? So just let me know if you have any questions. Thanks. I'll see you next time.